What's up guys, this is anime crossover. I'm back with another episode of What If Naruto Was the Red Flash Part 6. And if you did enjoy this video, give this video a like, and if you're new to my channel and like my content, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more crossover fictions with a twist. Now let's begin this new video.
Oliver then received a phone call and discovered it was from Dig. Oliver replied, "Dig, we have a little situation here. Our man is at Argus with some backup, and Lyla is here, and Oliver, this guy, he's the real deal," Dig remarked as Oliver nodded and hung up the phone. "Our objective is to storm Argus, and Lyla is there," Oliver explained as Roy agreed. The two grabbed their bow ties and suits. Cisco said, "Aha, badass, so cool." Caitlin predicted, "It'll be over by the time they get there." "Oliver, let me help you. I can get you there in seconds," Naruto replied as he put on his hoodie and stared at Naruto. As Naruto unzipped his backpack, Oliver said, "All right, suit up." He moved with breakneck speed and was ready in a split second. "Our objective is to attack Argus with backup, most likely mercenaries. Roy and I will handle him, while you secure the perimeter." As Oliver and Roy finished getting dressed, Naruto said, "Got it. Keeps your head steady and closes your eyes." While Caitlin texted Barry for backup, Naruto grabbed Oliver and Roy by the shoulders and flew out of the bunker. Naruto dashed through the city with Oliver and Roy in behind, eventually arriving at the Argus facility. They entered to inspect the dead guard and heard gunfire. "Head east and secure all the mercenaries. Arsenal and I will assist Dig," Arrow said as Impulse bowed and proceeded inside the building, leaving Arrow and Arsenal alone. When Impulse entered, the Argus agents were engaged in a shootout with heavily armed mercenaries, and the Argus agents were losing. When Impulse saw one of the mercenaries pull out a rocket launcher, he dashed forward and moved the agents out of the way. The missile landed where the agents were because the mercenaries were confused about where the agents had gone. Impulse gathered all of the agents and locked them in a room before charging at the mercenaries. One mercenary was shoulder-checked and thrown into a wall, knocking him out. He turned around and kicked another mercenary across the ground. The mercenaries fired in his general direction as Impulse ducked and dodged, and the mercenaries were disarmed, knocked out, and tied up in a circle in a flurry of orange and white lightning. Impulse smirked as he sped through the facility, making sure he got all of the mercenaries. He arrived in the huge open space where Arsenal and Arrow were fighting the Boomerang Man when he noticed two boomerangs headed towards Oliver and grabbed them. He came to a halt in a corner as the Arrow, Arsenal, Dig, Lyla, and the Boomerang Man witnessed a man save the Arrow in an instant. The Boomerang Man implanted earpieces before unleashing a massive concussion, flash, and smoke bomb that concussed and blinded everyone. The hit lasted nearly a minute before the effects faded and the Boomerang Man vanished. Arrow turned to face Flash and Impulse, who both smirked and walked away before Lyla and the Argus agents could question them. XXXXX line break. Naruto and Barry returned to the bunker while Oliver spoke with Lyla about the Boomerang Man that attacked them. As the rush of air caused some papers to fly around, Naruto and Barry came to a halt. "Geez," Felicity said as she took up the papers. "Sorry," Naruto apologized as he assisted, then immediately changed back into his ordinary attire. "So, how'd it go?" Caitlin inquired. "Easy. I took care of the mercenaries, but the Boomerang guy is gone." "Why did you call Barry?" Naruto inquired. "I thought you could use some assistance," Caitlin explained. "Well, thanks for showing up when you did," Naruto remarked, nodding to Barry. When Barry saw the salmon ladder, he responded, "No problem, cool." As Caitlin and Felicity watched him go up and down the ladder in a blur of yellow lightning, Barry began doing the exercise at breakneck speed. Caitlin inquired, "How often does Oliver do this?" "At least every Wednesday. There's a lot of sweating," Felicity commented as Barry hopped down, completed with the exercise. "I don't see what's so difficult about that," Barry stated as he handed Naruto the bar. "I think you're supposed to do it without powers," Naruto replied as he connected the bar into the first row to try it. "I'm not sure Caitlin should have called you. Oliver's not that great when it comes to teamwork," Felicity replied. "Oh, come on. Oliver and Naruto kicked ass last week," Cisco exclaimed as Naruto executed a pull-up and then pulled and hooked himself up to the second notch. They were, like, in a league of their own. "Geez, this is a lot harder than it looks," Naruto exclaimed as he performed another pull-up. "Yeah, that was kind of a one-time thing. Not that Oliver doesn't appreciate all the support, but it's different here," Felicity explained. "The guy was throwing around exploding boomerangs, they needed some backup, and I need some dinner. That salmon ladder made me hungry for sushi," Barry stated as he sped away, scattering more of Felicity's papers. And I need to get some paperweights down here, Felicity added, slamming the papers. Should have warned you about that, Caitlin remarked as Naruto performed another pull-up and attempted to hook onto the third row, but missed and tumbled on his back. Shit, said Naruto as Cisco, Caitlin, and Felicity rushed to him. Are you okay, Naruto? Caitlin said as Naruto groaned in pain. Naruto chuckled, I just got the wind knocked out of me. As Oliver, Roy, Diggle, and Lyla entered, Cisco smiled and helped him to his feet. Naruto stared at Oliver, who cocked an eyebrow and asked why he wasn't in uniform. Naruto shook his head no and Oliver nodded back. Are you okay? Felicity inquired of Lyla. You can't work for Argus without making some enemies, and I'm sorry to involve all of you in this, Lyla remarked as Dig produced a plastic bag from his pocket containing the boomerang shards. Is that an Argus property? It's evidence, Dig muttered as Lyla let it go as a whoosh of air passed them and Barry appeared, sitting in Felicity's chair with some sushi. Lyla was astonished at what she was witnessing as Naruto gazed at Barry as if he were insane. Dude, secret identity, exclaimed Naruto. Barry responded, they're married. Dig and Lyla stated, we're not married. Or together, whatever. He told her about me. Barry responded, shaking his head no, you didn't. Dig asked. I keep secrets for a living, Dig explained as Naruto and Oliver shrugged.
Oh, my bad, Barry admitted. You're. Lyla struggled to find the right words.
The Flash. Sushi? Barry offered, but she declined with a shake of her head. We need a location on Digger Harkness, the man who is after Lyla, Oliver remarked. Well, the first step is to work on the evidence, Barry explained.
Barry, can I speak to you for a moment, please? Oliver said as they walked to the opposite side of the room. I appreciate your assistance at Argus, but we have this under control.
You don't want to team up again? Barry inquired. Well, the last time wasn't so much a team up as Naruto and I fighting you to make sure you didn't hurt anyone, and besides, things work differently here. Starling City is meaner, Oliver explained.
I'm sorry for what happened before, but I seem to recall helping you pretty well last year, and that was without powers. I've been practicing everything you've taught me. I'm casing new environments, and I'm not running in blind, Barry remarked as Oliver sighed.
We do it my way, Oliver explained. Yes, awesome. Okay, so what's our first move? Barry inquired. We need to reassemble the evidence. It will take some time, but Oliver was stopped off as Barry utilized his super speed to reassemble the shards into 5 boomerangs. Be worthy of it.
Rad, this is a little more technologically advanced than the one you brought to Central City. 3D printed polymer with a circuitry weave, Cisco explained. Roy stated, some of Harkness's boomerangs exploded.
Oh, yeah, Cisco responded, there are grooves in here that can definitely pack AC4 charge. Perhaps if we figure out where Harkness got the supplies, we'll be able to track him down that way, Naruto suggested as he spotted Lyla staring at him. They weren't made by Kaboom Boomerang, Cisco stated as he examined the design. Roy inquired, Kaboom Boomerang? Yeah, Cisco agreed. It's not your best work, Barry remarked. Really? It makes perfect sense, Cisco, Oliver interrupted. If they weren't made by Harkness, we need to figure out who did, Oliver added. And who he bought it from, Dig added. Marco's. You see that collapsible node design? That's his signature, Cisco explained. We need a location on Claus Marco's, Cisco remarked as Oliver nodded and Felicity went to work. Mr. Marcos has no known home address or place of employment, but he was arrested last year by Officer Quentin Lance, Felicity added as Oliver nodded. Everyone else waited behind while Barry and Oliver went to speak with Lance. When Lyla approached, Naruto walked over to the case holding his new trick arrows and began assembling them for Oliver to use. I don't think I know you, Lyla Michaels, Lyla responded, holding out her hand. Naruto gave her a brief glance before shaking her hand. Naruto stated as Lyla nodded, Naruto Namikaze. Oh, I thought you looked familiar. You look like your father, Lyla replied, raising an eyebrow at Naruto. You knew my father? Naruto inquired, to which Lyla nodded. Not personally, only by reputation. He was a brilliant scientist, as was your mother. Their paper on subspace field mechanics was required reading at Argus, and I also know they passed. I'm sorry, Lyla remarked as Naruto nodded back. Thank you, Naruto said. So, I assume you're following in their footsteps if you're here with Star Labs? Lyla inquired as Naruto nodded. Yeah. I just finished my degree and I'm working with Dr. Wells on something, but after Oliver helped save Barry, I figured it'd be nice to repay him with some new tech, Naruto explained as Lyla noticed Roy assembling the new arrows Naruto made. I see that. Perhaps you can make something so Johnny stays safe out there. Lyla inquired, perplexed. Johnny. Naruto questioned, looking at Diggle, who was about to drop it. Naruto laughed and nodded. Sure thing. I think I have a few ideas he might like. Thank you, and if you ever want to make a difference, Argus is always looking for good scientists and engineers, Lyla stated as Caitlin, Cisco, Felicity, Roy, and Dig watched Naruto's reaction.
Thanks for the job offer, but I'm afraid I'll have to decline, Naruto answered.
Any reason? Lyla inquired, intrigued. Well, my parents worked with Dr. Wells because he's family, and I want to keep that going. And no offense, but after what happened, I'd rather have a job that didn't risk me being killed by a psychotic boomerang man. Naruto replied as Lyla was about to speak but paused. Lyla replied as she moved over to Dig, fair enough. Naruto began assembling the new arrows for Oliver and Roy to utilize, as well as assisting Cisco in analyzing the material in the boomerang to determine any information that could possibly benefit Oliver. Barry called 40 minutes later with a probable lead on Marcos. Oliver had requested that Naruto, Roy, and Diggle meet him and Barry at the designated place.
Naruto dressed up and went to a Bratva stronghold with Arrow, Arsenal, and the Flash. I can't believe you're in the Russian Mafia, Flash exclaimed. Probably a former member. We had a falling out last year. This is where they run their cybercrime operation, Arrow explained.
Hey, nice outfit by the way, Flash joked as Naruto and the others continued on their walk. Arsenal remarked, this place is like a fortress. Diggle observed, Kalashnikovs everywhere. Arsenal, take the southeast corner. Flash, Impulse, scan the perimeter. Arrow ordered as Arsenal approached and Flash and Impulse flew away. Dig, are you alright? Do you think I'll lose it because Harkness is after Lyla? Dig remarked as he approached the west corner. As the Flash zipped by, Arrow went into the north corner. When they saw the Flash standing around a bunch of unconscious, tied-up Bratva members with a cocky smile, Impulse ran by and was stopped by the Arrow. I had 8 seconds to kill, Flash smiled, satisfied with his performance. Was I wrong? Arrow simply continued walking, while Impulse shook his head and followed. What? Flash inquired. As Marcos ran for the door, the Arrow kicked it open, and Impulse appeared in front of him. You're not going anywhere, Impulse replied, grabbing him and pushing him against the table. Arrow approached, holding the broken boomerang. You made this for Digger Harkness, and I'd like to know where he is, Arrow exclaimed as Marcos smirked. Go to hell, said Marcos as Arrow struck him in the shoulder with an arrow. Arg. The Flash was taken aback when he saw the Arrow shoot Marcos without provocation. The only thing that hurts worse than an arrow going in is an arrow coming out. Arrow exclaimed as he gripped the arrow, and Marcos screamed in agony. Whoa, what are you doing? Flash inquired. Getting information. Where is he? Exclaimed Arrow. I don't know, Marcos replied. He said he doesn't know, exclaimed Flash. Flash, back off. Impulse cried, squeezing him. He's lying. If you want to be able to raise your arm again, tell me where he is, Arrow yelled, holding out a phone. Here, Harkness gave it to me, it's encrypted. I had an order ready for him. I called, and he came. I don't know where he is, I swear, Marcos exclaimed as Arrow backed away. Marcos was bandaged and taken to the CCPD by Flash. Arrow and Impulse glanced around for anything that may be useful. Give me the phone, Naruto replied as Oliver gave it over. Looks like rudimentary null key encryption. Shouldn't be too difficult to crack.
Oliver inquired, where did you learn that? The internet is a wonderful thing, but this kind of encryption is less about keeping something secret and more about setting a trap. Something else is going on, Naruto explained as he handed the phone back to Oliver and walked over to Marco's computer, where he removed the hard disk. Perhaps his hard drive will provide some information.
Are you alright? Oliver inquired. Yeah, like you said, just trying to stay focused, Naruto stated as Oliver nodded. Do you have to interrogate all the time? It's not always pleasant work for people who aren't used to it, Oliver said.
That's an understatement, Naruto remarked, nodding.
I understand that this is difficult to watch and understand for Naruto, but there will come a time in Central City when simply asking for information will not suffice. There are criminals out there who only deal in extremes, and sometimes it may be necessary to use extreme methods to fight back, Oliver said as Naruto nodded, understanding the lesson.
I understand, believe me, I understand. The world is a dangerous place, and I just don't think I could do something like that, Naruto remarked.
And I hope you never have to, Oliver continued as Naruto nodded. But the criminals in this city don't play with kid gloves. You saw Marcos, he wouldn't have given up anything. As Barry arrived, Naruto said, I get it. Let's go. Felicity can crack the encryption. Let's go, Oliver stated as Barry became agitated. What? You tortured that guy, Barry pointed out. I interrogated him, Oliver said, scowling. When my friend said your tactics turned you into a criminal, I defended you because I thought you were supposed to be a hero, and I thought we were supposed to be better than them, Barry explained. You don't live in Central City, where it's always sunny and your enemies have cute nicknames, Oliver pointed out. Barry said, yeah. I live in a city where my best friend was murdered, where a woman I loved was shot full of arrows and sent tumbling off a rooftop, and where my mother was murdered right in front of me. My mother was murdered in front of me too, but I don't use my personal tragedies as an excuse to torture whoever pisses me off, Barry said, interrupting him. Well, I'm sorry, Barry. I'm not as emotionally stable as you are, but that wasn't the point. The point is that you need to take this seriously and stop treating crime fighting like a comic book, Oliver stated as he went by Barry. What are you talking about? Barry inquired. Barry, from what I've seen so far, you have a lot of potential, but you are still new at this, and there will come a time when your speed and cheerful attitude won't be enough to save people, and when that happens, people die. Barry, from what I've seen so far, you have a lot of potential, but you are still new at this, and there will come a time when your speed and cheerful attitude won't be enough to save people, and when that.
Come on, Naruto, back me up, Barry stated as Naruto moaned.
Barry. I agree with Oliver, Naruto replied as Barry stared at him as if he was nuts. Are you kidding me? Asked Barry. Hey, I'm not saying I agree with what I saw, but this is Oliver's city, and if he knows what he's doing, we should follow him, Naruto responded. He tortured that guy, Naruto, Barry added. Interrogated. I've seen cops in real life and movies do a lot worse, and he's got a point. The fact that we deal with metahumans makes the threats we face almost out of the ordinary, but how many close calls have there been? How many dangerous bad guys have nearly killed us or innocent people? Naruto asked. And we handled it, Barry added. By the skin of our teeth, but what happens when we face someone we can't predict or who is difficult? We're still new at this, and right now we need to absorb everything we can so we know what to do if that happens, Naruto stated as he approached Oliver. I can't believe what Naruto is saying, Barry exclaimed, stunned. If you don't think you're up to it, you know how to get back to Central City, Oliver stated as he walked away, and Naruto followed. XXXXX line break. When they returned to the base, Naruto quickly changed back into normal clothes to conceal his identity. Felicity worked on cracking the encryption on Harkness' phone, and as Naruto stated, it wasn't all that difficult. She also examined the phone, and she believes she can locate Harkness's previous phone and triangulate his current location. Naruto sat next to her, taking notes on how she worked and what he could utilize in the future. Barry was still worrying over his ideological differences with Oliver, but no one brought it up because everyone was trying to stay focused on the task at hand and didn't want another argument to break out. As Lyla approached, Oliver was filling his quiver with some of Naruto's new arrows. Is everything okay between you and Speedy? Lyla inquired, perplexed.
What, Roy, we're fine, Oliver responded. I meant him, Lyla answered, looking at Barry, who was sitting near the stairs, frowning.
Oh, we disagree on how the world works, Oliver stated as Lyla nodded and looked at Dig. Yup. I know how that feels, Lyla answered. Well, sometimes they don't see it, Oliver explained. There are people in the world who only deal in extremes, Lyla explained.
And it would be naive to believe that anything less than extreme measures would deter them, Oliver continued as Lyla agreed.
Sometimes bravery isn't enough. Sometimes the world demands that we be bold, Lyla explained. Oliver stated, whatever the personal cost, I've got him. He's at a warehouse at Infantino and Adams, Felicity said, pulling up satellite photographs of the warehouse. Is that correct? Lyla inquired. Argus spy satellite? Felicity confirmed. Thermographic imaging shows 10 bodies inside. Harkness is aware that we are on our way, Dig explained. With this, I can track his cell phone's location, Cisco added, bringing up a tablet. As Barry approached, Oliver said, Cisco, you're with Diggle and Roy. I'll race you there, Barry remarked as he walked away, leaving Oliver staring at Naruto. Naruto, are you okay here? Oliver inquired as Naruto nodded. Yeah, there's still something I want to look into, Naruto replied as they walked away. Felicity, could you please run another scan of the phone's hardware after you shut it down? Sure. Give me a second, Felicity responded as she transferred the phone's data to her computer and switched it off. She started checking through the phone's coding for any irregularities. What exactly am I looking for again? I'm not sure. Something doesn't seem right. Everything seems too easy, Naruto replied. What exactly do you mean? Lyla inquired. Well, we found Harkness and stopped him from killing you, but someone with his training and grudge isn't one to give up on a fight, and with Oliver and Barry. He knows a straight-up attack is stupid. He'd want to be smart, Naruto explained. Perhaps you're overthinking this, Caitlin suggested.
No, Dr. Wells always told me to trust my gut when something doesn't feel right, and right now my gut is telling me there's something else going on, Naruto replied as Felicity noticed a strange code in the phone.
Felicity stated, I think I found something. What is it? Lyla inquired. It appears to be a remote-controlled back-trace system. Someone can turn the cell phone on and off, make calls, and back-trace the signal, Felicity explained as the phone began to ring, receiving a call from a blocked number. Didn't I turn it off? It's Harkness. This is a trap. We need to move, Naruto said as they all stood up to leave when Naruto's super speed senses detected a boomerang heading directly towards Lyla, so he grabbed her and leapt to the side, just in time to save Lyla from being hit in the head by a boomerang.
Felicity and Caitlin sought refuge behind Oliver's fake case, while Naruto and Lyla took shelter behind Felicity's workstation.
Hello, Lyla. It's been a long time, Harkness said as he tossed out 2 boomerangs, one of which broke through part of the lights and damaged one of Felicity's computer screens. As Naruto and Lyla shielded themselves from the shattered glass, Harkness threw another boomerang that smashed into Oliver's outfit case and knocked it over. Gun? Exclaimed Lyla. Cabinet, 3rd drawer, Felicity said as Lyla grabbed and loaded a handgun. As Lyla fired her pistol, Harkness took cover behind a table. As Naruto ducked, he peered out from behind the workstation and saw Harkness throw another boomerang. You know what I like about boomerangs, Lyla. They're proof that things can come back to haunt you, Harkness said as he rose from his cover and hurled 2 boomerangs towards Lyla, which she managed to evade by ducking close to a cabinet for cover. Harkness drew a special boomerang with a grenade pin and yanked it off. You had a bomb in the back of my neck, and now I have something special for yours. Lyla, get down, Felicity yelled as Naruto watched Harkness throw a boomerang in slow motion at Lyla. Naruto dashed from behind the computers, tackling Lyla out of the way as the boomerang approached and exploded, sending Naruto and Lyla crashing through Roy's display case and into the ground. No, yelled Felicity as she hurled an exploding arrowhead at Harkness. Harkness dashed out of the bunker just in time to avoid any harm from the explosion, while Felicity and Caitlin hurried over to check on Lyla and Naruto. When Felicity turned Lyla over, she noticed shrapnel wounds on her chest and side that were bleeding profusely. Naruto moaned in agony as he attempted to catch his breath. Caitlin pulled Naruto onto his back as he noticed a piece of metal poking out of his left leg. Arg! Naruto exclaimed as he yanked it out. Fuck, geez, that hurt. As Naruto looked at Lyla, Caitlin went to get some bandages. Caitlin, I'm fine. Look after Lyla, Naruto stated as he wrapped the bandages around his wound. Caitlin said, Naruto, you need help. I'm fine, Naruto answered, nodding. Lyla needs your help more than I do. Lidocaine, I need lidocaine, exclaimed Caitlin as she dashed straight to the medicine cabinet. Felicity exclaimed, I only have epinephrine. Caitlin responded as she retrieved the epinephrine needle, that's fine. Keep the pressure on the wounds and her awake. Caitlin administered the epinephrine while Felicity worked hard to stop the bleeding and keep Lyla awake. Lyla was placed on a table, and Caitlin worked hard to keep her stable while Naruto sat in a chair and wrapped his wound. Lyla, Dig said as he, Oliver, Roy, Barry, and Cisco returned. Lyla, she's not moving. I've stabilized her, but she has several shrapnel wounds, and I can't operate on her here, Caitlin replied, looking at Barry. Barry, Dig replied, looking at Oliver. Starling General is on 8th and Wilcox, Oliver remarked as he grabbed Lyla and dashed to the hospital. While Roy, Felicity, and Cisco waited in the club, Dig and Caitlin drove to the hospital to check on Lyla. Oliver desired some alone time. Barry was with Oliver, as was Naruto, who refused to leave his chair until he healed. It's all my fault, Oliver admitted. It's really not, Barry said. I tortured Marcos to get him to give up that phone, and none of this would have happened if it hadn't been for me, Oliver explained. As Oliver looked at Naruto, he said, that's bullshit. Harkness just outplayed you, Oliver, you'll get him. How can you be so sure? Oliver said as Naruto shifted in his chair, groaning in pain. To do what I do, it takes conviction, and every time I do that, I'm trading away small pieces of myself. So, you ask me what's wrong, Barry. This is it. The part that I'm trading away is Oliver Queen, and lately I've felt like there's nothing left except the arrow. I think, like Naruto said, bullshit. Look, you've convinced yourself that everything you've been through has taken away your humanity, but I think it's because of your humanity that you survived. You wouldn't have survived, let alone come out the other end a hero, somebody who wants to do good, if you didn't have a light inside of you, Barry said. Oliver, Barry's right. You wouldn't be here today, let alone the past 2 years keeping this city safe, if Oliver Queen was completely gone. The people you've saved, the lives you've changed, that's your humanity, and you're helping to pass that on to Felicity, Roy, Dig. And Barry and Oliver Queen is a huge part of this as much as the arrow is. Naruto said as Oliver crouched. Besides, if you don't believe that, what I discovered will have been for naught. What? Barry inquired. I discovered how Harkness got to the bunker. I can do the same and track him, Naruto remarked as he pulled his chair over to Felicity's computer and began searching as Barry and Oliver walked over to him and observed Naruto get to work. He's heading to the train station. He's not going anywhere, Oliver replied. Let's go, Naruto replied, attempting to stand but grunting in pain. Arg. Naruto, you're still recovering from your wound. Take it easy, Oliver and I got this, Barry stated as they walked to the train station. Felicity, Cisco, Roy, and Caitlin returned, and Naruto told them what had happened. Felicity went to work and retrieved security camera footage from the train station, where they observed the Arrow and Flash battling Harkness. Harkness is said to have taken out a tiny detonator and armed it. The Flash then exited the building and called inside the bunker. Guys, Harkness has planted 5 bombs throughout the city. I need to know where, Flash exclaimed. Harkness would have to use remote-controlled IEDs to cover the entire city, Felicity explained. If we can key into that frequency, we can track them, Cisco explained as they began working. Naruto viewed the security camera film of Oliver fighting Harkness, with Oliver winning and trapping Harkness with one of Naruto's liquid cement arrows. I need the locations. I need 5 locations, exclaimed Flash. The 5 receivers. Got it. The closest one is behind a restaurant at Faith and Flower. Cisco replied as Barry arrived at the area and discovered the device in a rubbish can. Okay, guys, I found it, and I'm going to run it out of town, Flash stated. Barry, please wait, Felicity exclaimed. That isn't an option, Flash responded. We believe the bombs are linked. I installed a minicam last week, and you see the secondary trigger? It's not just a receiver, Cisco explained. Flash explained, it's a transmitter. If you try to defuse the bomb, the second trigger will send a signal, and the other bombs will explode, Felicity explained. You're going to have to disarm all the bombs at once, Cisco stated. You're thinking of multiplex. Even if Naruto could help, we can't be in 5 places at the same time, Flash replied as he had a thought. But I don't have to be. The Flash then entered the bunker, grabbing Roy, Felicity, Cisco, and Caitlin one by one and dropping them off at one of the bomb sites, leaving Naruto beside the computers. Come on, guys. We've got less than 20 seconds. Okay, everyone, cut the wires exactly on 3, 1.2, 3, Cisco said, and there were no explosions. Oh, screw you, Captain Boomerang. Nicely done, everyone. Whoa, exclaimed Naruto. While Oliver and Barry dropped Harkness off at his new prison, Felicity, Roy, Cisco, and Caitlin returned to the bunker. Felicity gave Caitlin the arrow from which they required DNA proof until they returned. Caitlin explained as she placed the arrow in a special container. Some of the STR markers on the DNA sample have degraded, but I've got a computer back at the lab that should fill in the gaps. Felicity said, Thank you, Caitlin. I'll call this time when I get the results, Caitlin remarked, as Felicity laughed. It's fine. You guys are entertaining, Roy responded. So are you guys, Cisco remarked, or you could be if you realized you were working beneath a nightclub. Everything has a time and a place, Cisco, Naruto stated as Cisco nodded. How are you doing, Naruto? Felicity said as Naruto unwrapped the bandage, revealing that the wound had healed. I'm fine, Felicity. One of the benefits of super healing, Naruto remarked as he stood up. Caitlin remarked, You were very brave tonight, Naruto. How? Naruto said, as Cisco smirked. I was stuck in a chair while Barry and Oliver took down Captain Boomerang. I'm glad that name is becoming popular, Cisco replied. True, but Lyla would have died if you hadn't moved her out of the way before she was mortally injured. I'm proud of you, Caitlin stated as Naruto grinned, but don't make a habit out of it. I don't think I can promise that. Occupational hazard and all. Naruto laughed as Oliver and Barry entered.
Cisco inquired, Did you guys take care of business?
Oliver stated, Digger Harkness is now cellmates with one Slade Wilson. We've got a pipeline, and he's got a beautiful tropical island, Barry explained. With the landmines, Felicity explained as everyone looked around. It's quite a long story. What are these? Barry inquired as he examined 2 new mannequins. Felicity explained, Oliver had me put those in while you were at the hospital. This is for us? Barry inquired as Naruto grinned at the mannequin. Oliver said, For the next time you're in town, will there be another time? Barry wondered. I'm still in charge, Oliver remarked, as Barry laughed. We'll talk about it, Barry said. Yes, we will, and then I'll call the shots, Oliver said, smiling. Well, we've got an extra gift for you, Oliver. An early Christmas present. Turns out Star Labs Industrial Fabricator was based out of Starling City, Cisco stated as he opened the box containing Oliver's new jacket. Oliver exclaimed, "Whoa. Polymer Kevlar weave. 25% lighter and can carry 15% more gear. Naruto and I are working on some designs that should be cool," Cisco stated as Naruto laughed. "It's subtle," Oliver explained. "I was going to replace the hood, but Felicity said it was sentimental," Cisco explained as Oliver shook his hand. "Thank you," Oliver said. "So, are you guys heading back?" Roy inquired. Caitlin speculated, "It's possible that Dr. Wells never signed off on our little vacation." Roy inquired, "Do you guys still take the train?" "Sure, when we need a nap," Barry remarked, laughing. "And I think a nap is in order," Naruto added. XXXXX line break. Naruto and his crew had returned to Central City following their collaboration with Oliver and Crew Arrow. Things had calmed down in Central City as Christmas approached, and it appeared that even the criminals were taking the holidays off. Naruto had always enjoyed the holidays, but since his parents' deaths, the holidays had lost their sparkle. His parents used to throw a huge party and an incredible supper for all of their friends, but following his parents' accident, he spent the holidays alone. With Linda gone to join her parents in Coast City, Naruto was alone, which suited him well this time of year. Naruto remained to himself this week because he was working on the arc reactor, volunteering at the shelter, and training. Barry summoned the team to Star Labs because he needed to distribute Christmas gifts. "Merry Christmas, everyone. It's just a small token of my appreciation for everything you've done for me this year," Barry said as he handed out gifts. "Ah," Caitlin murmured as everyone grinned. "I think I speak for my colleagues when I say you've been a gift for us, Barry," Dr. Wells added, pulling out a thermos.
"What's that?" Caitlin inquired. "With thanks to Iris, Grandma Esther's famous eggnog," Barry added as Cisco smiled.
"That's what I'm talking about," Cisco replied as he approached the glasses and cleared his throat. "Maybe later for me. I've got some stuff to take care of. I'll see you guys later," Naruto stated as he approached the door. "Naruto," Caitlin said as Naruto dashed away. "Did I say something wrong?" inquired Barry.
"No, Mr. Allen, this is Naruto's favorite time of year. He and his parents loved celebrating the holidays, but since their deaths, I'm sure this time just reminds him that they're no longer with us," Dr. Wells remarked as everyone nodded.
"Yeah, Naruto has been acting a lot gloomier lately," Cisco observed. "I'm going to get him a gift. Maybe that'll cheer him up." "Thank you very much," Caitlin remarked as she went to go shopping.
Naruto left Star Labs and went to visit his parents' graves. Naruto walked up to their gravestones and sat down, placing flowers on them. "Merry Christmas, Mom and Dad. It's the second Christmas without you two, and it doesn't get any easier," Naruto murmured.
"I know this is supposed to be a magical time of year, and you've always told me to be grateful for what we have, but... God, this is so hard without you two here," Naruto murmured, tears streaming down his cheek. "I've put my life back together the way you two would have wanted, but I miss you two so much. Even with all my powers, I can't bring you two back." Naruto wiped his eyes as he heard someone approaching from behind him and saw Kurama approach him. Kurama sat close to Naruto, who petted his head. "Do you miss them too, boy?" Naruto questioned as Kurama wailed on the ground. "Me, too, so much." Naruto heard Shizune and Tsunade approaching him and said, "You're torturing yourself, Naruto." "How did you know I was here?" Naruto inquired. "It's where you went a lot last year," Tsunade explained as they knelt beside him. "Naruto, you keep torturing yourself like this."
"Perhaps I deserve to be tortured," Naruto said. "That's crazy. Naruto, what happened to your parents was an accident," Shizune remarked.
"An accident that should never have happened. I should have stayed in my dorm instead of convincing my parents to go out to dinner. If I hadn't been so stupid, they'd still be alive," Naruto murmured, clutching his hair in irritation, fury, and despair. "Naruto. The accident wasn't your fault. The drunk driver who hit them is in jail and will never be released. Your parents would want you to move on, not torture yourself over what could have or should have happened," Tsunade said as she stood over their graves. "I'm sure they'd be so proud if they could see you now." "I'd say disappointed," Naruto answered. "Only if you torture yourself like this every year, Naruto. You've saved countless people as Impulse, and at Star Labs, you can one day solve the world's energy problems. You have friends again. Dr. Wells is back in your life. You help the kids at the shelter, and you have a beautiful girlfriend who loves you, Shizune said as she hugged Naruto. Stop beating yourself up and accept what has happened and move on. I'm not going to forget what happened anytime soon, Naruto added. She's not saying forget and move on. She's saying accept what happened, cherish the memories you have, and make new ones. Linda isn't here, but you have friends who want to make this Christmas the most memorable one it can be, and I think a nice, peaceful, and quiet Christmas is exactly what you need to help you, Tsunade said. Unbeknownst to her, this Christmas was not going to be pleasant, calm, or quiet. Caitlin was at the Central City Mall, looking for a present for Dr. Wells and Naruto. She had just done shopping and was walking to her car in the parking garage while talking on the phone with Cisco. Well, it was either that or Stephen Hawking's new autobiography, and we both know how he feels about Hawking. And for Naruto, I have it narrowed down between a lifetime supply of ramen coupon from that restaurant at the mall or a complete and limited edition collection set of that manga Naruto likes. One Punch Man, I think, Caitlin said, chuckling at Cisco's response. You're probably right. A lifetime supply coupon for Naruto would tax that restaurant to the bone. There was another manga series one think Naruto would like. Menma it was called. The character kind of looks like Naruto if he had dark hair. You're right, I'll stick with the One Punch Man said. I'll talk to you when I get back, Cisco, Caitlin said as she hung up. She got to her car and unlocked the door when she noticed a reflection of what appeared to be a dirty and grizzled Ronnie. She walked down the garage, following the homeless man, and watched his head and hands flare into flames. Caitlin thought she saw Ronnie when the man turned around. A scientist at Mercury Labs was locking up a rare prototype in a safe vault before leaving for the night in a restricted wing of the facility under special lock and key. The scientist and the guards were ready to leave when the alarm went off. While hiding in a guarded vault, the scientist saw a man in yellow rush by and kill the two guards before fleeing. The next morning, Barry and the CCPD arrived at Mercury Labs after receiving word of the attempted break-in and killings. What have we got, Barry? Joe inquired. The blood splatter patterns and trajectory of the remains, only a high-speed collision could have done this, Barry stated as Joe understood who it was. Eddie remarked as he stepped over, get this. The witness claims all he saw was a blur. Does this sound familiar?
Joe and Barry walked right over the scientist. You saw a blur. What was it? Barry inquired.
The scientist explained, whatever it was looking for something. So, how did it look? Barry inquired. Like a man in some kind of yellow suit, the scientist muttered as Barry recognized who had done this. Barry, listen, I have to check my files. Joe, you heard him, all right. The man who killed my mother, he's back, Barry stated. I know. He's been in town for a few weeks now. He came to my house and took all the evidence from your mother's case. The files are gone, Joe explained. Why didn't you tell me this sooner? Barry wondered. Joe said, I couldn't. Why? Barry inquired. Because he threatened to kill Iris, Joe explained as Barry shook his head and moaned in despair. I know I should have told you this, but I couldn't risk putting her in danger. Let's go to Star Labs, we'll need their assistance. Joe and Barry came at Star Labs and informed everyone about the break-in at Mercury Labs and the return of the man in the yellow suit, the man who murdered Barry's mother after all this time. The witness described seeing a yellow blur, just like the one that killed Barry's mother, Joe explained. Then we need to get cracking and stop this speed psycho, Cisco remarked. I wasn't trying to give him a name.
The crime at Mercury Labs was on a floor with highly secured vaults, and the witness said he was looking for something, Barry explained.
Whatever it was, he wanted it bad enough to kill for it, Dr. Wells added. And to wait all this time to steal it, Naruto added. Doctor, what do you know about this Mercury Labs? Joe inquired. Mercury was one of Star Labs' major competitors until our little setback, and then it catapulted to the forefront, led by Dr. Christina McGee, a brilliant but egocentric physicist, Dr. Wells explained. Aren't they all? Naruto joked, cracking a slight smile and making Cisco chuckle. It says here that Dr. McGee has secured $500 million in private funding to develop, and I quote, prototypes for future technology. Well, I'll be. Tina's messing with tachyons, superluminal particles, Dr. Wells remarked. Of course, but what could someone do with one of those things? Joe wondered. I don't know. The possibilities are endless if you could devise a matrix stable enough to harness their energy, Dr. Wells stated as Naruto pondered something. Dr. Wells. What would happen to a speedster if they used the tachyon matrix? Naruto wondered as everyone waited for Dr. Wells to respond. Well, given the particle's nature and a speedster's accelerated cellular makeup and activity, theoretically, a tachyon matrix could potentially increase the individual's speed to unimaginable lengths. Dr. Wells said as everyone realized that if this man in yellow got the Takin device, he could be faster than Naruto and Barry combined. He's going to try to steal it again, so we need to get the device from Mercury Labs and use it as a lure, Barry remarked. Exactly, right. Cisco, Caitlin, Naruto, let's start engineering a trap, Dr. Wells stated as they nodded. Naruto, Cisco, and Dr. Wells were able to get the basic trap set up, but they still needed the Takin device, so Naruto, Barry, and Dr. Wells went to CCPD where Dr. McGee would meet them to discuss the break-in. They waited beside Joe's desk when Dr. McGee entered. Hello, my name is Dr. Tina McGee, and I've come as soon as I could to inquire about last night's break-in. It's Barry Allen. Thank you for coming in, Barry remarked, shaking her hand. Dr. McGee replied as she noticed Naruto standing next to Harrison Wells. My pleasure. Harrison, didn't expect to see you here. Dr. Wells replied, Tina, always a pleasure. Naruto, nice to see you again, Dr. McGee remarked, shaking Naruto's hand. Likewise, Dr. McGee, Naruto responded. I heard about your parents, and I'm truly sorry they're gone. The world is a poorer place without them, and I'm sorry our meeting had to be under these circumstances, Dr. McGee stated as Naruto nodded. Thank you, Dr. McGee. That's why I'm here. I'm here to assist the CCPD with the break-in at your lab last night, Naruto stated. I had no idea you'd gone to law enforcement, Dr. McGee said. Part-time. I'm working part-time as Barry's assistant in the CSI department while also pursuing a possible career in science, Naruto explained as Dr. McGee nodded. She received a text message and excused herself to respond swiftly. Since when were you working here? Barry asked Naruto. Since now. Send me the paperwork later, Naruto added as Barry nodded. I'm sorry about that. Have you gotten any new information on these thieves? Dr. McGee inquired. No, but our evidence suggests that whoever broke into Mercury Labs was looking for something, possibly one of your prototypes, Naruto explained. You'll have to narrow that down because we have literally hundreds of projects in development, Dr. McGee remarked. One containing tach-unique particles, Barry explained. We've had encouraging success with tachyons, yes, Dr. McGee explained, but there's still a significant gap between our prototype and any real-life application. We were hoping you'd lend us your prototype to use as a lure, Barry explained. Us? You're now assisting the police, Harrison? Dr. McGee inquired. I'm consulting on this particular case due to the scientific density and knowledge required to understand it. Listen, Tina, once this man is apprehended, your prototype will be promptly returned, because nobody wants to ensure the future's technology more than me, Dr. Wells said.
I appreciate the CCPD's concern, Mr. Allen, but Mercury is quite capable of protecting its own assets. Good luck with your manhunt. Give my office a call, Naruto. Mercury Labs is always looking for bright young minds. Good day, gentlemen, Dr. McGee remarked as she walked away.
Well, that went as expected, Naruto said. I'll talk to Joe. Maybe a court order will get her to cooperate, Barry remarked as he walked over to Joe. Naruto. Perhaps you should stay here and watch over Mr. Allen. With his personal connection to the case, it might be best to have someone who can help him maintain a cool head, Dr. Wells remarked as Naruto nodded. Right, if you need me, just call, Naruto responded. And you'll be over in a flash, I know, Dr. Wells joked. I would have gone with be there before you could blink, Naruto joked as Dr. Wells returned to Star Labs. While Dr. Wells returned to Star Labs to work on the trap, Cisco and Caitlin went on their own secret trip, while Naruto stayed with Barry in his lab. Naruto attempted to divert Barry's attention away from what was going on, but it failed. To be honest, Naruto didn't expect anything other than the man in the yellow suit himself to get Barry out of this determined drive. Iris did stop by briefly to report that Eddie wanted her to move in with him and that Eddie had told Barry that he liked Iris romantically. Let's just say it was weird. Naruto stayed to the side and attempted to blend in, while Barry had to play the best friend. Naruto felt sad for Barry after Iris departed. I'm sorry, Barry, Naruto muttered as Barry sighed. Yeah, Barry said. Look, it may not mean much coming from me. But after what I saw, I think you need to tell her, Naruto remarked as Barry looked at him. Tell her how I feel. Barry inquired. I know she's with Eddie, but you've got to get this off your chest. Keeping it bottled up is only torturing yourself, Naruto realized as he realized he needed to take his own advice. It's a lot more complicated than that, Barry explained.
Just because it's complicated doesn't mean it doesn't need to happen. Look, it may be the wrong time and place, but how long are you going to keep doing this to yourself? Barry, I'm your friend and I hate seeing you like this. And a wise old woman told me that the best thing you can do is accept what has happened, move forward, and try to find your own happiness. Naruto said as Barry looked at him.
I thought you were in a holiday funk before, Barry added as Naruto nodded. I was, but the same wise old woman gave me the same advice to try and move on, and I want to do that, Naruto moaned. This time of year has been difficult for me, and I'm sure it has been for you, not having your parents around to make those holiday memories, but she told me to cherish the memories I have and to move on to make new ones. I have closure. I'll help you get yours. Thank you, Naruto, Barry said. If you want Iris to know how you feel, you've got to tell her. Maybe she'll feel the same way, you never know, but keeping it to yourself is only going to hurt you more and make you wonder what if, Naruto added as Barry agreed. Naruto put some things away and checked his email on his phone. He finished and peered out the window as the storm rumbled, and across the street on the rooftop of a building. He saw him, the man in yellow. Barry. Naruto remarked as Barry looked at him. He stood up and glanced where Naruto was looking, where he spotted the man in the yellow outfit. So Barry sped out of the lab, pursued by Naruto. They dashed along the street and came to a halt behind a building, where the man in yellow was waiting for them. They both got a good look at the man. He was clearly a speedster based on how fast he ran. His entire body was trembling, and his eyes were flashing red. He just stood there staring at them. It was you. You were the one in my house that night, and you killed my mother. Why? Barry exclaimed. If you want to know that, you're going to have to catch me, the man in yellow shouted as he bolted away, leaving a trail of red lightning in his wake. Barry and Naruto trailed him with yellow and orange, white lightning, respectively. Naruto and Barry zigzagged across the city, through the streets, avoiding automobiles and pedestrians as they raced to catch up to the man in yellow, who was exceedingly quick. Way faster than they were. Naruto looked to his left and saw Barry pushing himself as hard as he could to catch the man in yellow, and Naruto was too, but this guy was out of their league. They were slowly coming up as Barry stretched out to grasp him, but the man in yellow zipped away before Barry could touch him, as if he was teasing him. Naruto and Barry pursued the man in the yellow suit throughout the city until they arrived at Central City Stadium. Naruto and Barry came to a halt in the center of the field, looking for the man, when the stadium lights came on and began to flicker wildly, as if something was interfering with the electrical field. A flash of crimson lightning flashed through the stadium before stopping roughly 80 yards away from Naruto and Barry. The man in the yellow suit was standing right there. As Naruto tightened his fists, Barry was enraged. Together, Barry. Naruto stated as Barry nodded. Let's put an end to this, Barry remarked as they sprinted at the man in the yellow. When the man in yellow got close enough, he slid down, knocking Naruto and Barry off their feet before they could react. And because they were running, the momentum sent them flying through the air and tumbling across the ground. When Naruto and Barry looked up, the man was right in front of them. You're not moving fast enough, Flash. He dashed into the stadium seats as Naruto and Barry pursued him. As the man pushed back, Barry shoved him. Naruto sprinted alongside Barry, then jumped to tackle the man in yellow, but he moved out of the way. Naruto and Barry continued to shove and push the man in yellow while he shoved back. Naruto and Barry sandwiched the man in yellow, but he slowed down, threw a series of speed punches all over their bodies, grabbed them by the back, raced back to the field, and tossed them to the ground. Naruto and Barry fell to the ground as the man in yellow super accelerated around and kicked them back before speeding in front of them again. He was making fun of them. Who are you? Yelled Barry, blood trickling from his mouth. The man said, You know who I am, Barry. Naruto stood up and attacked the man in yellow, but because he was faster, he was able to see and block Naruto's attacks faster than Naruto could throw them out. Naruto threw punches, kicks, and everything Oliver had taught him, but the man in yellow blocked and dodged every one of them. He then seized and twisted Naruto's arm, hit him across the face, kneed him in the stomach, punched him 4 times in the stomach, and threw him to the ground. As Barry tried to fight Naruto, he groaned in pain, but it ended the same way, with Barry getting his ass kicked. I don't know who you are, exclaimed Barry. But you do, Barry. We've been at this a long time, you and I, but I'm always one step ahead. The man said as Naruto attempted to attack the man from behind with a vibrating punch, but he moved at the last second and hit Naruto with a vibrating punch to the gut, knocking him across the field and into the stadium wall.
As he saw the man in yellow super speed in front of him, Naruto coughed up some blood. Nice try, Impulse, but it wasn't enough.
To escape a punch from Barry, the man in yellow turned his head to the side, smacked him in the stomach, and smashed him to the ground. It is your destiny, Flash, just as it was your mother's destiny to die that night, remarked the man in yellow as he rushed away. Naruto and Barry leaned forward to see that the man in the yellow suit had vanished. Naruto lay on the ground, groaning in agony, realizing how Barry must have felt when he had to save him from Prism. XXXXX line break. Barry and Naruto returned to Star Labs and rested in the med lab. Caitlin gave them both a quick inspection and told them that their fast healing would have them feeling good in a few hours if they rested. Naruto and Barry passed out in the med lab and awoke early the next morning to tell Joe and Dr. Wells about their encounter with the man in yellow. He acted as if he knew me, as if we'd done this before, Barry explained. Joe explained, he was antagonizing you, Bar. It wasn't just that, Joe. He definitely knew who Barry was, not just as Barry, but as the Flash, and he even knew who I was, Naruto explained.
We'd get close, and he'd just back away, we'd fight, and he'd taunt us. This was just some sick game to him. Barry explained.
You'll catch him, and we'll assist, Dr. Wells remarked. Dr. Wells, know this guy's speed. It's beyond ours. Even combined, he took us out like we were nothing, Naruto said.
The wonderful thing about force fields is that they are impervious to speed, Dr. Wells explained. Now, we're almost finished fabricating the trap, and all that remains is for Detective West to procure the bait.
I'm on it, Joe remarked as he walked away, and Barry followed. Barry, why don't you just stay here? Says the boss. No, Joe, today is not the day to tell me to stay behind, Barry raged, ready to bring down the man in yellow. Joe and Dr. Wells both expressed concern about Barry's approach toward this case. Dr. Wells looked at Naruto, who was looking at his outfit, as Joe exited. Everything okay, Naruto? Dr. Wells inquired. I'm fine. Let's finish that trap. This speedster isn't getting away this time, Naruto stated as they worked to complete the trap. Cisco and Caitlin left for a personal reason and did not return for several hours. And by then, Joe and Barry had returned with the Tachyon apparatus. They set up the Tachyon device in the force field trap on one of the lower floor's unoccupied lab areas. Cisco stated, the Tachyon device is in place. You think it'll work? Barry inquired. As he walked away, Cisco replied, it'll work. How do we tell him the prototype is here? Barry wondered. Dr. Wells crossed his arms and replied, we'll take care of that. Barry nodded and looked at Joe, who was staring at him in the same way Dr. Wells was. What's the problem? Barry inquired. Look, Barry. Me and Dr. Wells have talked, and we think it'd be best if you weren't here for this, Joe explained. What exactly are you talking about? Barry inquired. Joe told him, you're too close to this. Or maybe you're not close enough. If you hadn't been too scared to warn me that he was coming weeks ago, I could have been ready for this, Barry exclaimed. I believe we can all appreciate Joe's concern for Iris, Barry, remarked Dr. Wells. Guys, Barry deserves to be here, and if something goes wrong, I can't stop him by myself, Naruto remarked. That's why I'm here. I'm the best chance of catching this guy, Barry exclaimed. Not right now, not in this state, exclaimed Joe. This man stabbed my mother through the heart and imprisoned my father for it. This is my fight, Barry exclaimed. Not today, son, Joe murmured, as Barry exhaled, grabbed his jacket, and stormed out the door. I think you're making a mistake, Naruto said, grabbing his suit. Barry isn't in the right frame of mind for tonight, Naruto, Dr. Wells said. Dr. Wells, I don't think Barry would ever be in the right frame of mind to face him. That man murdered his mother and imprisoned his father for it. He needs closure and justice for what happened, and not allowing him to help is making it worse, Naruto explained. We're protecting Barry because if he helps tonight, he might do something he'll regret for the rest of his life, Joe explained. Like, kill him? Barry isn't that kind of person, Joe. He's the kindest person I know. Next to Caitlin. He doesn't have it in him to be a killer, but what he does need is the ability to confront the man who ruined his life, Naruto said as he walked over to Cisco's station to get some high-calorie energy bars. Would you feel the same way if you were in his position? Dr. Wells inquired as Naruto came to a halt. Would you be as calm if you could meet the man who caused the accident? I met the man who killed them at his trial when they put him in jail, but I didn't try to kill him at the time, Naruto explained. And now? Joe inquired. If I saw that man again, he'd still be alive, Naruto remarked, grabbing his rucksack. Just roughed up a little bit. Or a lot. Dr. Wells gazed at Naruto as he departed to catch a train. Dr. Wells replied as he saw Naruto leave, and I believe you, Naruto. Naruto was walking through Star Labs on his way to train when he noticed Caitlin sitting by the pipeline. Caitlin, what are you doing here? Naruto inquired as he approached and sat next to her. He noticed her crying as she looked down at her engagement ring. Caitlin, seriously, what's wrong? Talk to me, Naruto urged, her eyes welling up with tears. It's Ronnie. He's alive, And he's changed, Caitlin replied, shocked. How? Where's he been all this time? Naruto wondered.
I'm not sure, but he's a metahuman. He bursts into flames. And he doesn't remember anything, or me, Caitlin whispered, her eyes welling up with tears.
Hey, we're going to help him, Naruto said. And do what? Lock him in the pipeline with all the other crazy metahumans? Caitlin wondered as she examined her ring. I used to play this game in my head. What would I give up for just one more minute with him? My house, my career. The rest of my life. Caitlin began to cry as Naruto approached her and held her close. It's okay, Naruto murmured as she hugged him and sobbed. Caitlin, I'm not sure what our future holds. But I make you this promise right now. I'm going to do everything in my power to bring Ronnie home to you. The man you fell in love with has to be in there. You just have to hope, Naruto stated as he gripped Caitlin tightly. XXXXX line break. It was now time to set the trap for the man in yellow. Joe, Eddie, and Eddie's special squad of officers were in the cortex, along with Dr. Wells, Naruto, Caitlin, and Cisco, who were viewing the trap room cameras. Naruto had buried everything connected to the flash and impulse in the brain and shut the case containing their suits so no one could see them. It was late, and they had been watching the video for quite some time, waiting for the man in yellow to fall for the bait. Are you sure this trap will work? Eddie inquired. I've sent at least 3 charges into open satellite. If anyone is looking for tachyonic particles, they'll know we've got them, Cisco stated as they continued to stare at the screen. They waited another 30 seconds until the camera showed a red lightning blur dash into the room to seize the tachyon matrix, but the force field appeared, trapping the man in yellow. He began speeding around the force field in an attempt to escape, but he was trapped. Oh my god, Caitlin exclaimed as Naruto stared at the screen, seeing the man they were looking for imprisoned like a rat. They couldn't tell what the man looked like because his body was still shaking, but he was there. Let's see what we got, Dr. Wells stated as Joe, Eddie, and the cops approached the trap room. Naruto stood up to leave, but Dr. Wells signaled for him to wait. Stay here, Naruto, in case something goes wrong. Right, be careful, Naruto advised. Always, said Dr. Wells as he led Joe, Eddie, and the officers to the force field in the man in yellow. When the officers and Dr. Wells saw the man in yellow standing in the force field, they entered the room with their weapons drawn.
Dr. Wells yelled over the intercom, Cisco. Lights.
Sure thing, Dr. Wells, Cisco responded as he turned on the room lights. I have a bad feeling about this, Naruto observed the cameras. The lights in the force field room were turned on, giving everyone a clear view of the man in yellow. Eddie was terrified, but he refused to acknowledge it to anyone. Joe was staring at the stranger, and Dr. Wells was wondering who he was. Dr. Wells inquired as Joe moved forward, Detective Fawn, would you like to read him his rights? What are you doing, Joe? Eddie inquired. Joe stated as he approached the man in yellow, getting some answers. You murdered Nora Allen 14 years ago, and I want to know why. Why? The figure in yellow disregarded Joe and moved closer to the force field, his gaze fixed on Dr. Wells. At long last, Dr. Wells, the man in yellow stated. What exactly do you want with the tachyonic particles? Dr. Wells inquired. My goals are beyond your comprehension, the man explained. Oh, I don't know, I'm a pretty smart guy. I knew you were exceptionally fast, so any trap we built would have to be invisible. I knew your cells could repair themselves at extraordinary speeds, so you could withstand what this is doing to your body right now, Dr. Wells said as Cisco noticed something was wrong. The supercapacitors, the containment field is fluctuating, they must leave now, Cisco exclaimed. I know all of this because your powers are almost identical to those of the Flash, Dr. Wells explained. Oh, I'm not like the Flash at all. Some might call me the reverse, he replied as Naruto, Caitlin, and Cisco watched their camera feed die and their system be infected with a virus. Dr. Wells, you need to get out of there, get out. Naruto yelled into the intercom as the man in yellow sped out of the force barrier, seized Dr. Wells, and started beating the holy crap out of him. Joe yelled, Cisco, turn off the barrier, he's got Wells, as Naruto's eyes sparked with lightning. He quickly grabbed his suit and dashed into the force field room. Naruto, said Cisco as Caitlin texted 911 to Barry. When Impulse entered the room and saw the man in yellow beating Dr. Wells, he dashed over to one of the capacitors and yanked the power cords, effectively shutting down the force field. This drew the man in yellow's attention for a moment before Naruto moved forward and tackled him away from Dr. Wells. Joe, Eddie, Dr. Wells, and the other officers witnessed Impulse attempt to fight the man in yellow, but it ended with him getting his ass beat again. The man in yellow knocked Impulse down before grabbing the tachyon device and fleeing. Eddie looked around as Impulse chased him. When they heard fighting and turned to see the man in yellow fighting Impulse by the door, Eddie yelled, "Find him!" They were obstructing their only way out. Impulse unleashed a volley of fast punches, but the man in yellow blocked and dodged them all. Impulse unleashed another punch, followed by a spin kick, but the man in yellow dodged beneath it, knocking Impulse's feet out from under him. He then yanked Impulse by the neck and hurled him against a wall. As the man in yellow looked at the officers, Impulse groaned in pain. Impulse attempted to stand but was overcome by pain and held his side as Joe raced over to assist him. "Don't move, or we will shoot," Eddie yelled. "No, get out," yelled Impulse as the man in yellow super raced around the officers, hitting them in the throats or severing their necks. The man then yanked Eddie's rifle from his grasp and glared at him. Eddie stood there waiting to be killed as Joe drew his rifle and fired.
The man in yellow shoved Eddie aside, dashed over to Joe, and grabbed him by the neck, holding him against the wall. "I warned you not to hunt me," said the man in yellow as the Flash rushed into the room, grabbed him, and ran outside. Joe exhaled a sigh of relief as he was about to be slain before sprinting over to Dr. Wells.
Impulse clenched his teeth before chasing after the man in yellow to assist the Flash. He went through the building and spotted the Flash and the man in yellow battling near the door, so he dashed over to assist the Flash in his struggle as the three fought punches. They sprinted in a circle so swiftly that they actually floated in the air. They flew higher, shattered the glass ceiling as they hovered, and finally crashed to the earth. The man in yellow hurled Impulse and Flash into cars with enough force to bend the metal.
When the man in yellow saw Caitlin and Cisco, he dashed to them, but Flash and Impulse grabbed him.
Which was a big mistake because he grabbed and twisted their arms before throwing them to the ground. Impulse rose up and unleashed speed punches, but the man in yellow deflected all of them before kicking out one of Impulse's legs and grabbing a punch thrown by the Flash. The man in yellow smacked the Flash into Impulse before striking him in the face several times and knocking him away. He grabbed Impulse by the back and hurled him through the air and into a car before unleashing a barrage of high-speed blows on the Flash. He grasped the Flash's neck and ripped off his mask. He kneed him in the face and was about to lay out another series of speed punches on the Flash when he was knocked away by a fire blast. When the Flash and Impulse leaned up, they saw a filthy and ragged Ronnie with his head and hands on fire. The man in yellow rose to his feet and turned to face the Flash and Impulse. "Our race isn't over yet, boys," the man in yellow remarked as he hurried away. As Caitlin approached Ronnie, Cisco ran over to check on Impulse, who groaned in pain. "Don't look for me again," Ronnie whispered before bursting into flames and flying away. XXXXX line break. Naruto and Barry were recovering in Star Labs while Joe returned Eddie to CCPD to explain what had happened with the TAC-unique particle gadget stolen and the deaths of those policemen. Naruto finished sleeping before walking over to where Caitlin and Cisco were repairing Dr. Wells. "Dr. Wells, are you okay?" Naruto inquired as he approached, and Dr. Wells grinned. "I'm fine, Naruto. I should have asked you that," Dr. Wells answered. "No, it should be me asking, because you're not the one with accelerated healing," Naruto explained. "Are you alright?" "I'm fine. Scrapes, bruises, nothing too serious that time can't heal," Dr. Wells remarked. "But you saved my life tonight, Naruto, and Detective West and Thon as well. But not the other officers. I should have stopped that. Reverse Speedster," Naruto groaned, running his hand through his hair. "It wasn't your fault, Naruto. No one could have predicted what happened tonight, and we were all caught off guard, but we'll be ready the next time," Dr. Wells remarked as Naruto nodded. "And next time he won't be able to escape. How did he even grab you? I thought that force field could contain a speedster?" Naruto wondered. "I've gone over the data a dozen times and I still can't figure out what happened. I must have missed something," Cisco apologized. "It's not your fault, Cisco," Dr. Wells continued, "but if you all feel the need to apologize for something, you might start by not telling me that Ronnie is still alive. I told Naruto and Cisco not to say anything because once I saw what Ronnie had become, I needed time to see if I could make him whole again," Caitlin apologized. "No, I'm not sure what I would do differently in your situation." Dr. Wells said this while holding her hand. "I know I made a lot of promises to you. I know I didn't get to keep them all. But I promise you this, we will bring Ronnie home." Caitlin grinned as she repaired one of Dr. Wells' cuts. "Well, I think this was one depressing way to start the holidays." As Naruto nodded, Cisco said. "It's hard to get into the holiday spirit when stuff like this happens," Naruto observed.
"Actually, I believe it is something that we could all benefit from." Joe invited us to his holiday celebration. Maybe a little eggnog and Christmas cheer would let this year conclude on a more positive note than sad. Caitlin proposed.
"I'm in." "Naruto?" Cisco inquired after Naruto paused for a bit. "Yeah. The best thing to do is to proceed. But don't let me get too drunk. I still have some things to do at the shelter. As they nodded, Naruto said, Dr. Wells, when are you coming? I'm not in the mood for a party tonight, Naruto. However, thank you. Please convey my holiday greetings to Detective West and Mr. Allen. As Naruto nodded, Dr. Wells said. Dr. Wells was helped into his chair by Naruto, and he, Cisco, and Caitlin went to Joe's house for the holiday party. Iris and Eddie were already there, and they were simply waiting for Joe and Barry, who came approximately 10 minutes later. Merry Christmas, says the narrator. They all agreed. What exactly are you guys doing here? Barry inquired. I had invited them. As Barry smiled, Joe said. Where's Dr. Wells? He wasn't feeling up to going to a party tonight, but he sends his holiday cheer. As Joe nodded, Naruto said. Eggnog? Yeah, let's do it. Joe stated this as he and Naruto drank some of Grandma Esther's eggnog, which was delicious. As Cisco approached Joe, Naruto grabbed an extra cup and handed it to Caitlin. Hello, Joe. I saw something strange tonight, Cisco informed him. Yes, Cisco. I noticed that as well, Joe responded. No, I mean, when the Flash, Impulse, and the man in yellow were going full-on bumper cars on each other, I was watching the electricity that was coming off of them, yellow, red, and white electricity. Barry said as a child that he witnessed red and yellow lightning in his house the night his mother died. As Joe realized what Cisco was implying, Cisco said. There were two of them. As Cisco nodded, Joe said. The man in yellow may have killed Barry's mother, but that night there was another speedster there. As Joe nodded, Cisco said. Dad, it's that time. Joe came over and grabbed the angel, Iris remarked. Everyone stood up as Joe attached and lit up the angel, completing the Christmas tree and turning the night around. Naruto grinned as he saw all of his new friends. His new family. Things were looking up, and Naruto seemed ready to move on from what had happened to his parents, unaware that someone was about to drudge it back up again. The cell of Andrew Hayes, the man charged with drunk driving, destruction of public property, reckless endangerment, 1 count of attempted manslaughter, and 2 charges of manslaughter, was located in one of Iron Heights' isolated wings. He was the person responsible for the accident that murdered Naruto's parents. He was serving a 30-year sentence with a 20-year parole possibility. He was in his cell, finishing a letter for the DA about something significant. Okay, if you have any letters, please get them ready. As Hayes finished his letter and handed it to one of the guards, one of them yelled. Make sure that reaches the DA. It's critical. Hayes stated as the guard simply stared at him. Whatever, Hayes. The guard remarked this as he took the letter and placed it in the pile of letters that will be distributed. Another guard noticed Hayes' letter and took it when no one was looking. He opened it and read the contents before walking away and discarding it. He pulled out his phone and phoned a previously blacklisted number. Yes, that's me. Hayes appears to be having second thoughts about the deal he made. Inform the boss. As he hung up, the guard said. Dr. Wells returned to Star Labs and entered the secret chamber where he was keeping track on the Flash and Impulse, as well as the article from the future. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a gold ring with a lightning bolt emblem. He placed it on his left middle finger and walked over to the far wall. When he touched it to the wall, it opened up to reveal a futuristic mannequin display. The mannequin was naked save for a slot in which a tiny circle could be put. Dr. Wells put his ring into the slot and twisted his palm to the left, and the reverse Flash costume appeared on the mannequin. Dr. Wells linked the tachyonic device, which had already been modified to a tachyon matrix, to his suit, and the tachyonic particles began energizing the suit. Dr. Wells smiled as he noticed his suit gathering tachyonic energy, which would propel him even faster than he was now. Merry Christmas. In the reverse Flash voice, Dr. Wells remarked to be continued.
That's it for this part, guys. Thanks for listening to this video. If you did enjoy this part of the story, like, share, and subscribe for more. And thank you all for help and support, and have a great day.